Well, happy Father's Day. It's official. Bradley Beal is a Phoenix Sun. And with it, the Washington Wizards get baloney for what is a top 30 player in the NBA. You know, Brian, I, I can't help but think the biggest competitive advantage in all of sports is good ownership. Because the Wizards, the last 5 years, have been chasing the glory of the 40 wins with an owner so hell bent on being average, they have done really nothing looking into the future. They gave Bradley Beal $250 million last offseason, but more importantly, the only trade clause in the NBA. For that very reason, the Miami Heat get shafted because Bradley Beal forces his way to a Phoenix Suns team that gives up a package of Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, 0 first-round picks, multiple seconds, and multiple meaningless pick swaps. I feel bad for Wizards fans, but it feels like this is rock bottom. They can only go up from here. And now we get to talk about the Phoenix Suns' new big three. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know what to believe in terms of the reports of what Miami was offering. That one's a shocker to me. You know what I mean? Just why Phoenix accepted, not Phoenix, Washington accepted this trade because yes, Beal had the no trade clause, but his two options were Phoenix and Miami, and I think everybody kind of looks at it and says Miami would have offered a better package for them. And you look at the package that the Wizards got, and it was Chris Paul, who, let's be honest, is most likely not going to suit up for the Washington Wizards. I believe he's probably either going to be going to either of the LA teams, Boston, Milwaukee, maybe back to Phoenix, or hell, even Miami. Those are the options for Chris Paul, I think, for next season. And then they get Shamit, and then I believe a bunch of second round picks and maybe some pick swaps that haven't been announced officially yet. But that's a load of dog crap if we're gonna be honest with you. Be honest with everybody. Bradley Beal, like John said, is a top 30 player, and you get that for him. Nah, I don't like that at all. When in Miami's case, you probably were getting three first rounders, and I'm not trying to make the argument that Bradley Beal should have been to Miami because I was on the case that I didn't want Bradley Beal to Miami. Not I didn't want him. I want Lillard first, and he, I believe, is a true option out there. There was a report literally by Chris Haynes after this trade was made saying the Miami Heat have a real belief that Damian Lillard is going to request a trade, and they are gung-ho about going to get Damian Lillard. There was a report a couple of days ago before this trade even happened that said Miami prefers Damian Lillard over Bradley Beal. So I'm confident. Honestly, am I 1,000% confident? No. We've swung and missed on a lot of free agents and a lot of trades that could have happened over the years. You'll see the memes, you'll see the gifs, you'll see the tweets out there. John will probably speak on it a little more. I know we've missed on them, but it just feels like this time is a little bit of a different circumstance where it just seems like this is the time. This is the time. Like if ever you look at those players, who was it? Yeah, Bradley Beal.
James Harden in 2021,
Yep.
Donovan Mitchell in 2022, and in 2023, the third time is not a charm. Bradley Beal goes to Phoenix.
And all three of those players, Damian Lillard is better than all three of them.
And Dame's the least likely one to be moved to.
Again, that's your belief. My belief is not. My belief is I'm taking the man at his word. If that's what we're going to do, if we're going to take the man at his word, this year has said if Portland is not going to move in the direction of competing for championships, I would like to move on from the situation because I'm not here for a 2 to 3 year rebuild.
Sure. Talking about relevant playoff teams, I'm a lot more interested in this side of the deal for the Suns because there are only 5 players in the roster are D-Book, KD, Brad, Ayton, and campaign on a partial guarantee. Their only resources left over are $4 million biannual and a $5 million mid-level exception. Number one, KD's third super team to some people. Do you think this is a super team? And number two, can the Suns actually cobble together a rotation here, or are they going to have the same exact issue as the last 3 years where they're just getting ran over by one European after another in the front court?
Super team, yes. Yes. I don't think you can say it's not. I think a lot of people believe Bradley Beal, not believe, Bradley Beal is better than Chris Paul at this current stage of Chris Paul's career. Bradley Beal, I believe, would be considered to a lot of people at least an all-star. To me, he's a star in this league. So having that big three with, I know John is very low on this man DeAndre Ayton. That it's not a big four, but it is a super team to me. In terms of the star power. Now, obviously, John asked the second question was, how are they going to defend or how are they going to look in they're not. I tweeted in when it went down right away. I said, yeah, that's great. They got their big three and all, but let's just get it out there. This team has no defense. Zero defense, I might add. They're going to run into the same problem. Ayton can't guard Jokic. So, and then you look at the other teams, the Lakers, they get healthy. AD probably going to have his way with DeAndre Ayton. I don't, it doesn't, can they compete 100%? Because if those guys are on and at least, let's say all of them just give you 25 points, what is that? That's 75 points right there between your big three. Now that's just averaging out. One guy might have 40, one guy might have 25, whatever the case may be. It's going to be an interesting dynamic because all these guys are scorers. You only got one ball.
Yeah, even with Devin Booker's growth as a playmaker, I still think in the regular season it's best served he's coming off the ball. Now you bring in Beal, he's improved as a playmaker. To answer the question, I don't think the Suns are a super team because super teams are homegrown. They're natural. I look at the Nets super team, and you could make the case because they had such good depth, right? And Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Bruce Brown.
Wait, John. You're confusing the terms. Super team has nothing to do with depth. Super team has to do with star talent.
I think it's a combination of the two, personally.
No, it's not. It's always been star talent. Why was the big three in Boston a super team? Because they had the star talent first. Miami, why were they called the super team? The three big guys. Golden State when they got KD.
Here's the difference. With that Boston Celtic team, they had Rondo, Tony Allen, Eddie House, Rasheed Wallace in 2010. That was a really deep team on top of the big three. You look at the Heat, I think there's an exception to the rule for them because Dwayne Wade was already an NBA champion, and LeBron, by that point, had made a case the best player in the world. So you've got two top 5 players in the league. I don't think Devin Booker's top 5. I think he's barely top 10, if that. And at the same time, because of the Heat's culture, I also think you can make the case they had a super team. But with the Suns, the culture, it kind of has torn apart the last year due to Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton's relationship. And I think there's so much work for them to do this all season. It masks the fact in committing $47 million to Kevin Durant this upcoming year, 36 to Booker, and 45 plus to Beal. I don't think this big three is sustainable long term. At some point, their CBA, their tax bill is going to be so high that all of the implications in the new CBA, it's going to hamper and restrict any roster construction.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen next year.
Round picks to move. And when you look at their draft capital, every year they're going to be picking in the late 20s. In the regular season, super teams need to have players who can step up and perform at a high level. The Celtics had Rondo. Those Heat teams, Chris Bosh was so good he could take over a game any night in December. I look at this Phoenix team and I'm like, DeAndre Ayton to me has no trade value. And for that reason, you're not really going to be able to flip him into many assets. And at the same time, I don't think in the regular season, when some of these stars are underperforming, or maybe they're just kind of coasting when they're missing games, they're going to have the necessary depth to really win games. I still feel like they're going to be the 4th seed, the 3rd seed, and they're going to have a hard time getting to like 55, 52 wins.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with if they're super. I don't know what. John, this has never been the case. I mean, you're the only person in the world that thinks super team has anything to do with depth. It has never been the case. That has never been the case.
You need to have some of it, though, no?
No,
A little bit?
because nobody's worrying about the depth. We're not saying it's there. We're saying when somebody calls a team a super team, it is because 3 stars or 2 superstars or whatever the case may be have come together on one singular team. That is the case. That is the common denominator between all the super teams you can look at. Yes, was depth there too? Cool, because they were able to attract veteran players. The Celtics also were able to get a kind of lucky with getting Rajon Rondo with that group. That doesn't happen very much.
They
But
can
a
thank
lot
the
of
Suns for
veteran,
that.
yeah, a lot of veteran talent being coming in Miami, being able to sign a Shane Battier, a Mike Miller, and being able to draft a Mario Chalmers. The Phoenix Suns, while they're not complete yet, are probably going to go out there and sign some veteran players that can contribute on minimum contracts. It has nothing to do with depth. Super teams have always had to do with the star talent. That is why they are called super teams.
Okay, well, maybe I've taken us down the wrong path. Let me put it this way. This is what Nikola Jokic does to a team. He makes them go all in on 3 stars, inhibiting all their depth when I understand Kevin Durant didn't play at his regular season level in this last postseason, but I can't understand the Suns' logic behind this move because, like I was alluding to, with their incoming tax bill, you're committing so much to a roster that's really only 4 guys deep. And with DeAndre and being to me, the 14th best center in the league, making $32 million next season, they have basically zero trade resources, zero assets to move. I mean, the what do you think about it and being moved to Dallas? Would Dallas even be interested in him for say Maxi Kleber, JaVale McGee, and Tim Hardaway Jr.?
I don't. I don't think so. To be honest with you, I think DeAndre Ayton's going to stay. It's not the move that I would have made, but I think he's going to stay. I'm pretty sure I saw a report that Bradley Beal apparently said that he would like DeAndre Ayton to be in Phoenix if he gets traded there. So that's what I'm kind of going off of. I believe that DeAndre Ayton's going to stay. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it has anything to do with trade assets anymore. I think it has to do with now going into free agency and just signing veteran players on minimum contracts who can contribute. That's real. Like guys like an Iguodala, guys like a Mike.
Iguodala's in a retirement home, bro.
No. I said
Like,
veteran players that you can go out
sure.
and sign that are not on team. Yes, like a DeAndre Jordan, or I know he didn't give any. John, not these guys, veteran players that can contribute to teams.
The
That's
teenagers
what
that
they're
get me
going
there,
to do. That's
in the
what they're
last
going
leg.
out to do right now.
Making the case, though, for Ayton, I do think Frank Vogel is going to do a good job with him, as he has with Roy Hibbert in the past. And they're going to need DeAndre to literally carry this defense by himself. Kevin Durant's going to miss some time in regular season. He's probably going to get hurt. And that is the logic behind this move. This new Phoenix Suns big three is the exact same thing as Brooklyn a couple of years ago. Brooklyn built the culture. They changed head coaches with Steve Nash. Frank Vogel, more proven than Nash. But the idea here is because of Kevin Durant's injury history, they need one more star that can at least get them to the playoffs at a 50-win pace. Once they get there, we're just going to beat you offensively. And that only can take you so far when you have, no defensive foundation and your center and DA. To me, I just don't think he's a good enough rim protector to really control the paint. And we've seen this now in multiple playoff runs versus Giannis, Jokic, and that Dallas series as well versus Luka. They get exposed every single year by these top 5 players. And in the end, I don't think this Phoenix Suns team wins a championship. They're going to put a lot of money into the squad. They have a new owner, Matt Ishbia, who wants to win. And generally, Devin Booker's in the middle of his prime. As Darren's pointed out in the chat, he's the best shooting guard in the league. KD is still probably a top 5 player. At worst, top 7. And Beal, to me, is a perfect complementary piece. There is a world where this team can go to the finals. But I think at some point, when KD slows down in the playoffs and Devin Booker has to play at an elite level on both ends of the floor, you're just going to see, like, you can't build a team with 12 veteran minimum contracts. As we've seen with the Nuggets, Miami, the Lakers in 2020, you need DNA players. KCP, Alex Caruso, Austin Reeves, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, JaVale McGee, even back in that 2020 bubble run. And now for the Suns, I'm just like, you had so much depth as little as 2 years ago when he won 64 games. You had Cam Johnson off the bench. Campaign played relatively well in their finals run. And even a guy like Frank Kaminsky would step up in DeAndre's absence, and they wouldn't skip a beat. Now I look at the Suns team, and it's like, wow, like you guys basically just reversed roles with the Brooklyn Nets, it feels like. That's kind of what just happened here.
Yeah, I do see a lot of the similarities with that. Now, when the Brooklyn move was made, I right out the gates tweeted about it. You can go check my timeline. This team will not win a championship. And then even when they made the move for James Harden, I reiterated, this team's not winning a championship. They didn't even make it to the finals. With
They
this,
won one. They won one playoff series total.
they won one playoff series total. Shame. With this team, I'm a tad more hesitant. I feel like it has to do with I'm blanking on their head coach, John. They just
Frankie V.
Frankie V. Okay, yes, I knew it was a veteran guy. So I'm more confident in Frank Vogel. Sorry, I forgot your name. Than I was in Steve Nash when he was the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little more hesitant. I want to see how at least the offseason plays out before I go and say this team won't win a championship. There's a pathway, but I just feel like, and injuries obviously are going to play a big role in it. As long as the Denver Nuggets stay healthy, if they have to meet the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs, it's not Nikola Jokic is just bodying DeAndre Ayton. So that is kind of what they need to worry about the most is stay clear of the Denver Nuggets.
You know what I actually think? James Jones may have built this roster saying to himself, we can beat the Nuggets with this big three because they're all jump shooting reliant. None of them put much pressure on the rim. If you play a team like Denver or the Lakers and you can get AD and Jokic out of the paint and you force them to go on space, that is their mindset of, okay, we're going to beat you with jump shooting. And I think in the playoff run when KD was really struggling, and even first struggling for KD standards is 30 a game on 44% true shooting or 44% shooting opposed to 52. The idea of this team is most bigs can't guard in space. We're going to exploit you on the perimeter. As for the pathway to getting there, Brandon, they have a $5 million no trade clause, $5 million trade exception from the Jar Sarge move, but also a mid-level exception. One guy they could look at is Dylan Brooks. I think he's in line for $12 million. He made spot up threes for a couple of years with the Grizzlies, made an all defensive team, was a key cultural piece for one of the youngest teams, one of the most successful regular season teams. Dylan Brooks, to me, if they can get him on a massive discount, I doubt it, but that's one of the top options. Another one, oh geez, it really falls off a cliff after that. Kobe White, Torrey Craig, Jeff Green. Justice Winslow.
Yeah.
2019 point justice. I don't know.
Dylan Brooks is a good shout. I don't know if they can afford him. He's going to probably ask a little bit more for more money. I did just see that apparently Chris Haynes just tweeted about CP3 may land with the Clippers. The Wizards are fielding a lot of offers for Chris Paul. So, like I said, I believe there's about 5 teams, handful of teams that are out there that are going to be wanting Chris Paul's services going into next year. I think he fit perfectly back in the Clippers. I mean, what a reunion. Oh. Yes.
I think they need Russell Westbrook more.
I like Russ, but if you can get Chris Paul,
Paul doesn't put any pressure on the rim. And the same way he, KD, and Booker are redundant, what that Clippers team needs is a guard's going to get downhill and then open up driving kicks. In this stage of Paul's career, I think he's best with LeBron and Anthony Davis downhill forces where he can just attack and pick and roll, and he can play from the mid-range area to the three-point line. Mm-hmm. Now, he's not going to get traded, though, because any team that acquires him is going to be taking $30 million in salary. I think the end game, the obvious end game is...
I think sign and trade. Maybe, no. I think probably like buyout, Wizards buy him out, sign and trade type deal.
That's the end game.
Yeah.
But if you do buy him out, there's no sign and trade eligibility. It'll just be he gets to pick who he signs with.
But they're gonna get it somewhere. They're gonna get it. I don't know. All I'm reading is Chris Haynes. They're fielding offers for Chris Paul. Chris Haynes just reported that they're fielding offers. So
I think the perfect destination for Chris Paul would be Denver.
yeah.
Back with Jamal Murray, get yourself a
Oh,
championship,
Denver. Oh, wow. I don't know why I thought of Dallas when you said Denver.
and get to
Okay.
play with Nikola Jokic. You know how much that can extend a guy's. If you want to get paid, you want to extend your career, you want to get a title, you play with a Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
You go to a Boston or Miami, Los
Yeah.
Angeles, you're probably not going to win a championship in my eyes. But we just saw Denver do it. They desperately need depth and probably a backup point guard if Brucey B is going to dip. I know he said he was going to stay. And I think if Chris Paul wants to solidify his case as a top 4 point guard ever, a reign at 38 years old or 39 would do it.
That's a big shout. It's a good shout.
What do you think about the Miami Heat, though, Brandon? Because I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit heartbroken for you guys. You said before, Chris Haynes said the Heat think they're going to get Damian Lillard, but they thought they were going to get Donovan Mitchell and Bradley Beal. And at this point, I kind of just feel like Pat Riley and the Heat have missed too many opportunities, and they're banking on Dame requesting a trade. He could. It's possible. But we've seen for years now the back and forth of him trying to gain leverage, trying to force Portland to go in the direction of win now mode, because he really doesn't want to leave. If he wanted to leave, he would have done it in 2021 when he was so close. And Chris Haynes was reporting, get ready, Dame is preparing to request a trade. And guess what? He never did. And then in 2022, they lose a million games and get Shaedon Sharpe. I think in this stage of his career, as he's fielding draft workouts with the Blazers, he's ready to ride it home. He's going to be Mr. Blazer. And if that is the end game, the likely end game here from the Miami Heat, it's a damn shame. Because if they had gotten a Donovan Mitchell for Tyler Hero and picks or a Bradley Beal, I truly think they would have had the last piece missing to the puzzle. But now it feels like they're going to next season with the hopes that they can repeat the magic they just pulled off in the playoffs.
Yeah, obviously I come from a different coin than you. I think this is a different scenario with Damian Lillard again. You brought up the last 2 years with Dame. So yeah, the first year he gave the Portland Trailblazers their shot to see what was going to happen. Then the next year, like you said, they lose a bunch of games and they get Shaedon Sharpe. This is the first time Damian Lillard has spoke out publicly about saying if Portland isn't going in the way of championships, I would like to be. I don't want to be a part of that. So I can only take a man at his word, and I'm taking him at his word. That's what he said. I'm gonna believe him for right now. And I think the best, and he even said literally what, like a couple weeks ago, a month ago, if I were to leave, one of the destinations would be Miami, especially if they don't win the championship. They don't win the championship. I'm just going off of what the man has said publicly. No
This is
report.
like what I said to my friends in middle school. I was thinking about asking a girl out, but I never did. It's like, I think she's kind of cute. I might do it, but I never did. That's what the Miami Heat are, or that's what Damian Lillard is in this scenario. I think I might do it. I think the possibility of playing Jimmy Butler is a really cute idea. I'd really like to do that, but I'm not going to. I wouldn't ever do that. That is what it feels like to me. Am I wrong?
It could. Again, I'm just taking him at his word. If it ends up being the case that he does not go and Miami gets slighted again or whatever the case may be, I'm going to come on this show and I'm going to be very heated. And I'm going to probably call Damian Lillard out. And
Well, I think you should be heated right now.
No. I'm going to probably question his want to win. But we'll cross that bridge when if it comes. If it doesn't come, that's all I'm saying. I'm only taking the man at his word.
Bren, this is years of taking him at his word. At what point are you just gonna say, "Look"?
I was never calling. I've never called for Damian Lillard to Miami though. This is the first time I've called for him. The last 2 years, I've been calling for Donovan Mitchell because his name was out there in the trade talks. That's what I was calling for.
I think I've got the clip, Brandon, of you saying if you want to compete for playing appearances, Damian Lillard, fine by me.
Yeah,
go ahead.
100%.
That's what you said.
100%, because the whatever the quote was that you gave me at that point. But again, a whole year has changed, and a lot can change in a whole year. I'm again once just taking him at his word. If the deal doesn't go down, I'll be the first one on this show to publicly get heated with Damian Lillard and his choices. Now it's his choices, and he can make his choices. But I'm just saying, I thought we get into sports to win. That's what I thought.
Is loyalty in sports becoming overrated? We talk all the time about franchises betraying stars, but then you give that star a no trade clause, and he betrays that franchise. Bradley Beal, let's be honest, he grabbed the Wizards by the stranglehold and said, "Okay, you want to trade me? Well, guess what you're getting? Zip. Nada. Not a single asset for me. I'm actually going to put you in an even worse position by getting off of my contract that I was able to negotiate last offseason at a humongous price tag of $250 million. Have we overrated loyalty? Because now when you give the star the power, like James Harden or a LeBron James back in 2014, leaving the Heat for Cleveland without telling Dwayne Wade, another example comes this offseason with the first move in the mall.
No, because I don't want it to go. I want there to be a perfect balance, and I know that's kind of an impossibility in the real world. But that's what I'd want in sports, is where the team has their power and the players have their power, and it's on an even scale. Right now, we look at the NFL; the teams basically carry 70% of the power. The players are starting to gain a little bit of that power back, not back, but starting to gain that a little bit more power. But the owners still run shit, for lack of a better term. In basketball, it's the players. The players kind of run everything. I would like a little bit more of a balance. Listen, player movement. It's fun. It gives us something to talk about. It gives everybody something to debate and talk about. It's splash moves. Twitter goes ablazing. Instagram goes crazy. So it's something to talk about. But I feel like it's a little too much at this point.
You said it before.
Yeah.
You doubt the possibility the Suns do it. The Suns just put everything into a new big three. How many championships do they see, Brent?
If I'm forced to answer, they're not going to win a championship.
It's very early, but I don't know what free agent is going to come in here and add the 5 rotation players they need to fill out this rotation. And what they need are two-way players. Those are exceedingly rare to find on veteran minimum contracts. And if, look, they get a Dylan Brooks or some player who's vastly underpaid on the $5 million mid-level exception, congratulations. I still don't think in this Western Conference the Suns have the durability and their core three, the defensive versatility, or the rim pressure to win at the highest level of the postseason. KD is on the decline probably. Just had himself an MVP caliber regular season. That might be the last great regular season we see from Durant. Booker is hitting his peak, but I still think he's better served in the regular season at the 2, and then the playoffs he becomes point book. I don't know if you can expect that out of him for 82 games. And then lastly for Bradley Beal, phenomenal number 3, a great complimentary 2. You make him your 3, it sounds great, but I still think much like Durant, he misses too much time in the regular season. He doesn't add that defensive versatility, specifically in the front court where you have to guard a Jokic, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Embiid, Giannis. Good luck with that. In the end, I've got 0 championships for these Suns, but only time will tell.
That's it.
And if there's anything that changes, it won't be the Wizards taking L's. They do that often. With all that being said, that'll wrap up this. Is there anything like to add on?
No, that's it. That's it. Let's get into some NFL and NBA offseason talk. The draft is right around the corner, and let's go.
Stephon Diggs complaining.
Stephon D-Hop.
Nothing new.
Please like the video if you guys are watching and you like the video. Share it around with everybody. Subscribe.
For sure. Drop a like if you enjoyed. And remember, George Pickens clears DeAndre Hopkins.